Did you know that WoW was actually a horror game? Crazy, I know, but if you listen closely, you can. That's Stitches, a big ol' level 35 elite abomination that just occasionally decides to run around Darkshire every now and again. Under normal circumstances, the town guard would post up and stop him before he can get inside, but not this time, I guess. He's literally just running around out there like it's been several minutes by this point. Is it safe to come out now? Oh god! So, Duskwood's a great place. I swear I'm not being sarcastic at all. It's just got all these great scenic views where you can really just take in all of the trees and more trees. Like, you'll see this place and immediately want to just set down a big old picnic or something. Just do people even have picnics outside of movies? Like, is that a thing? Though you will have to keep an eye out for just a couple dangers that you just maybe might find out there. Stuff like wolves, giant spiders, bandits, ogres, worgen, undead, a giant horrifying abomination. Yeah, no, this place is cursed as fuck. But in terms of storylines and lore, Duskwood is nearly the complete opposite of Redridge. There are a lot of long quest lines here, and if at any point you see my level jump around during this video, no you didn't. Upon arrival to Darkshire, we begin by looking for a bronze 2 for Victory, and they don't have one. Never mind, I guess we'll just come back to that then. What we'll actually do is finish up the undead warriors and mages to the south that we'd started while waiting for a group for Shadowfang Keep. I'm still amazed at how quickly that all came together. While we're down here, we might as well pick up some of these skeleton fingers. Ava, why do you need these? I mean, she introduced it as a sort of protection charm, but god, these ingredients sound sketchy as fuck. Hey, so you know how you killed 14 undead for us just now? Would you like to double that and do it again? Yeah, sure, why not? It's only nearly the entire map we're walking across to get there. It's fine, it's great. And you can't even just auto-run and do something else for a bit like you kind of can in Elwyn, because there's sometimes just this big ol' lad that'll absolutely mess you up if you cross him. This is why we can't have nice things. After breaking the bones and smashing the spines of these fiends and horrors, we... The fuck did I say it like that? We report our progress back to Ebonlock, and I hope you like running because she's just gonna send us right back. But later, we're not gonna do that again. So how about something a bit closer? Just outside of town, we have the second thing plaguing the lands. The wolfmen, known as worgen. They stalk the wilds, ready to tear apart anything that moves, which is great for me because I really don't move at all. Just outside of the town, we find the various shadow weavers and bonk them real good with our shiny new mace. Have you seen it yet? You should look at it. It's really cool. I like it a lot. So after those lads, we're sent off to fight some more lads. They're called the Dark Runners this time, and they're really scary because they'll just absolutely cook it when you get close enough. Oh, Jesus. But aside from that, I'm having a great time. Are you having a great time? You fucking better be. Hey, buddy, you got my bronze tube yet? No, of course not. Back in the Redridge video, we talked to a lad named Sven up in the northwest tip of the map, and he'd want us to go back to his farmstead and look for something. Individuals called the Dark Riders had killed his family while he was away, and he'd seen a shadowy figure burying something in the dirt. Though he couldn't get it himself, he wants us to see what was buried. Looks like our Defias boys are back here as well. We just can't get rid of you guys. Buried next to this barn, we find an old book of all things. In it, the author recounts coming across a cursed scythe while in the mine known as Roland's Doom, south of Darkshire. As soon as they'd taken it, Worgen descended upon the mine, slaughtering everyone there in a flurry of fangs and claws. Somehow, the author managed to escape, believing it to be due to his cautious and jumpy nature, traits that led to him getting a nickname. Believing that they were the ones that brought Worgen into Duskwood, they ran and hid within Sven's barn for several days. He thought about showing himself to the family, believing them all to be decent folk, but found it hard to trust others, especially with everything that had happened at the cave. After reading this, we return to Sven and show him the book as he comes to a realization. Whoever had written this book likely knew how his family had died. He demands to know who it was and sends us back to Darkshire with the book. Perhaps somebody in town would know who the author was. We start with Madame Ava, knowing that she has some sort of psychic connection to the land and other things. She can feel Sven's desire for revenge, but traces of the original owner are faint. Whoever it was wasn't a resident of Darkshire. The clerk at the town hall recognized the book after we'd shown it to him. He'd sold it roughly a month ago to a jittery lad. Wait, you remember something that you'd sold a month ago? I can hardly remember what I even did yesterday. Seeing that our gnome friend still doesn't have a bronze tube, we head to the inn next. If this individual wasn't a resident, surely they would have stayed here for a time. The innkeeper also recognizes the book, saying an individual had stayed there for a while and spent much of his time at the bar, writing, though they kept muttering about being hunted by something. They left soon after, heading west out of town, off in the general direction of Ravenhill. So I guess that's our next destination. Elaine, back in Darkshire, also wanted us to check out Ravenhill for something that was likely haunting the place, so I guess we might as well just knock both of these out at once. Man, I just love running across the entire zone several times over and over. It's so relaxing with the big fucking abomination trudging up the hill towards the destroyed town of Ravenhill. We don't find any sort of ghost or poltergeist, but a man. Even scarier. Jitters seems to be the thing haunting Ravenhill, but also the very man we're looking for. He'd written the book, not only that, but we'd only gotten half of the story so far. Handing us his new journal, we head off immediately to update Sven. Reading on within this new journal, we discover that this nightmare didn't stop with just the Worgen. While Jitters had been hidden and Sven was away from his family, the Dark Riders had arrived. They approached Sven's wife as she held her children close and demanded to know where the scythe the balloon was. The same artifact that Morganth had been looking for back in Redridge. When Jitters had fled the mine, he dropped the scythe, so not even he knew of its location. Thinking quickly, his wife lied, telling them that she knew where it was, but that they should leave the children behind as they'd only slow them down. In return, one of the riders procured this small gem, and from it, this ghostly white hand crept forward and grabbed her head, forcefully searching for the truth. Seeing through her lie, he ordered them to be killed. And soon after, Sven returned and Jitters fled, moving from place to place as the weeks carried on, eventually landing at Ravenhill. He's sure that even to this day, the riders are still searching for the scythe. Sven's now sure that the Dark Riders are his enemy. He'd seen them speaking with a necromancer nearby, a wizard known as Morbant Fell. He shall be our first target. But first, we must prove ourselves by laying waste to the many skeletons spread throughout the cemetery. Bro, just let me leave. Oh god! Only when we return does our plan begin. If we're to strike down this powerful necromancer, we're going to need a weapon to break through his shield. Unfortunately, our mace isn't good enough for these guys, and honestly, that's pretty fucked up. To start, we're to seek out Bishop Farthing at the Stormwind Cathedral. He'll be able to help us create this weapon, though perhaps we'll maybe put that on hold for the time being. The undead and the Worgen aren't the only things haunting this land, however. Madame Ava, back in Darkshire, had felt this horrible disturbance, sensing her granddaughter was in danger. After consulting her cards, the card marked Death stared back at her. After a long, dark trance, one name came to her, pointing us in the right direction. This wrong Madame Ava. Stalvan. That sounds so normal and boring in comparison now. We bring this name to the clerk, and he points us in the direction of Moonbrook, one of this Stalvan's last known addresses. Journeying back to the schoolhouse, we find an old letter as we're promptly hounded by a forlorn spirit telling us to let the legend of Stalvan rest. I feel like in any other situation, this would just be your cue to leave, just your cue to drop everything and leave this alone. But there's a darkness plaguing this land, and we must cleanse it. Or, I don't know, man. In reading the letter we'd picked up, we find that it was written by this Stalvan Mistmantle, an individual from Silverpine that was set up to teach the children of Westfall in a new schoolhouse they were building for him. We bring this letter back to Kirk Daltrey, as he now points us towards Lion's Pride Inn in Goldshire, as that was also apparently listed as another address of his. We just missed that the first time? Alright. Still Bronze Tobliss. We're thankful that we're not on Moonguard, as we asked the innkeeper about Stalvan as well. He remembers the name, thinking back on a messenger that had come in here to seek shelter for the night. Near midnight, they had left screaming, their face pale with fear. As he left, though, he'd also forgotten the letters that were to be delivered, one of which was from Stalvan. Within this letter, Stalvan is asking to tutor the children of the recipient. Apparently, he's now taking up temporary residence in the inn due to, quote, the unfortunate state of events in the region. Bro, what does that even mean? Within the Stormwind Canals, we run into Caretaker Folsom, apparently who this letter was for. Or maybe this is his son? I don't know, man. His father was the previous caretaker of the estate Stalvan wishes to tutor at, and apparently had to mop up the blood after the massacre. Wait, what? Bro, you can't just drop that and not elaborate. Like, you just drop that there's just this massacre that we don't even know about, and then you're just like, yeah, it's fine, dude. Just don't worry about it. Just here's some shit to look at. Here. Go for it. I guess, for all we know, that might just be part of why that ghost tried to stop us before. Oh god, there's another one. They really just don't want us messing with this stuff, man. Finding a journal page, we head off now towards the Eastvale logging camp. It would seem that Stalvan did indeed begin tutoring these children and mentions how Giles would be difficult to educate. However, Taloa, on the other hand, seemed incredibly smart. He also couldn't help but to notice her captivating beauty as she's just on the cusp of womanhood. That's just creepy as fuck, my guy. Man, I don't feel right just saying that shit. The family summer home is just outside of the logging camp, and there we find Marshall Haggard, the current owner of this estate. He mentions an old chest upstairs that had a lot of old papers inside. Surely there's no ghost to try and stop us this time. Surely. After busting some ghosts, we read the next journal entry, and my god, it only gets worse. Stalvan describes how he had this strange, uncontrollable feeling that he'd never felt before after he'd been given a flower by Taloa. Lad's really out here just getting feelings for a minor, doing the old YouTube speedrun. But we show this to Haggard, who then points us back to the innkeeper in Darkshire, who also recognizes the handwriting. He'd followed this legend for years, investigating it with Haggard way back when visiting nobles were slaughtered. They'd found these muddied pages, but hadn't quite been able to link them to the crazy man in the woods. Immediately, he hands the pages to us and sends us straight to Commander Ebenlock. And through these pages, we learn more of Stalvan's descent into depravity. He's absolutely convinced that Taloa feels the same way, but this infatuation soon turns to rage as Taloa soon finds a suitor. She introduces him as her tutor, Uncle Stalvan, a nice old man. Old? How dare she? Ebenlock has had her eye on the crazy man in the woods for a while, but should these bits of handwriting match, it would prove without a doubt that this man was indeed Stalvan, the one who had killed Taloa and possibly her family as well. She sends us back to Kirk Daltrey. She sends us back to Clerk Daltrey with haste, as he connects this handwriting to the one he had in the town registry. Ebenlock's suspicions were correct. Having all the proof we needed, all we had left to do was to kill Stalvan and put an end to his madness. Though, maybe we'll, set that to the side for now. This lad is like a juiced up Benny. Besides, maybe now this lad will finally have the tube and... Holy shit, there it is! With this tube finally in our hands, Victory now needs 2 more parts, starting with some sort of reflective surface. To finish this, we head towards Blind Mary in a cabin to the south, and normally she'd have this looking glass, one of her finest treasures, until... The incident. Are we just not going to elaborate on this incident at all? Like, you can't just bring attention to this and not tell us what happened. But within an old rundown church, we find the insane ghoul that took her looking glass after she discarded it. Returning this to Victoria as well. All that remains is a lens, and wouldn't you know it, there's an ogre with a very fancy monocle down in the complete other side of Duskwood yet again. You like running across the entire zone, right? Right? We invade this ogre mound with your boy Cheez-It and drop this fool with the fancy monocle. Honestly, I was kind of expecting him to be one of these, like, two-headed lads, like the side with the one eye would have been the one using it. Whatever. With all the parts now assembled, Victor's able to make his famed telescope and continue his research. That's it? Alright. I mean, I don't really know what I was expecting, to be honest. I guess I was just getting so used to all these longer quest lines here that it was just strange to have something so short, relatively. But aside from all these dark and shady individuals haunting the land, there was another rather sizable problem within Duskwood. There's just a whole lot of undead. So, there was a third individual that Elaine wanted us to look into. An old hermit that had made his home right next to Raven Hill Cemetery. You know, that big old place with the, skeletons and shit? Well, we find him, and he asks for us to get some supplies for him, as his frail and old self just can't quite make the trip like he used to. Sure, man, whatever, just what do you need? To start, he's in need of ghost hair thread. Rather specific, but you do you, man. Madam Ava's able to help us get some, but we're going to have to get it ourselves. Just, give me some of your hair, please. How is this not awkward as hell to ask somebody? Ava then tells us that this particular thread has nearly 1,000 uses, and it's even able to stitch life into inanimate objects. Man, I'm sure this won't be strangely relevant later. I need to string the ghost hair thread along my doors and windows to keep out those pesky spirits. My guy, you live in a shack. There are no doors or windows. What are you talking about? But up next, our boy Abercrombie needs liquor called zombie juice. That's, not appetizing at all. Apparently, to make this, our lad needs rot blossoms, which can be found inside the skulls of skeletal horrors and fiends. Why would anybody want this? After cracking open a few skulls, our zombie juice is made. But watch out! It's strong enough to raise the dead. This bit of information definitely isn't relevant either, I swear. 1,000 thanks, Alexari. You warm an old man's heart with your with your kindness. Sounds good to me. I swear we've got to be one of the dumbest adventurers out here. We've only got a couple more errands to run for this friend. He's a friend, absolutely nothing else. Next, he needs a good bit of ghoul ribs, supposedly for an effigy to act as a scarecrow of sorts. Cool, awesome, let's go. It's not like I wanted to get your ribs or anything. As we're handing over these ribs, we're told of the final thing we need. His supplies that were recently stolen by the nearby ogres. A crate filled with precious tools and herbs, and definitely not dead bodies. Like, why would there be bodies inside? What do you mean? Reeks of dead things. I'm sure it's just flowers. Returning our flowers to the rightful owner, Abercrombie was nice enough to write a letter specifically to the mayor of Darkshire, no doubt putting in a good word for us for helping such a frail old man. We're honestly just being so thoughtful right now, and... Oh... Hey man, this big ol' abomination just kind of burst out of this massive crate next to your house. I think you might want to get that checked. Releasing stitches upon Darkshire, we quickly return and warn the mayor by handing him this note detailing all of our good deeds. However, it's written in some ancient, archaic language. Or this guy just, I don't know, doesn't know how to write. Imagine he just hands us this piece of paper with a bunch of scribbles like, hey, they'll know what it means. Another lad at the town hall translates the note for us, and we feel a chill permeate the air. Something horrible is about to happen. Within this deciphered letter, Abercrombie introduces himself as the Embalmer and states that he's created a monster that's headed straight for Darkshire and its citizens. He also credits us for helping him out. How nice. So thoughtful. Understandably mortified, the mayor then tells us the story of this Embalmer, an alchemist driven mad by the death of his wife, Eliza. To revive her, he placed his own heart within her chest, but kept her buried as she was cursed with the hunger for human flesh. We're to retrieve this heart, and this power will be broken. So, just one question. If he used his own heart, then how the hell is he still alive? Don't ask such stupid questions around here. Just go and get it. But maybe later. For you see, while in Raven Hill, we also had uncovered this weathered grave across from the cemetery. It read Morgan Lattimore and looked like it had been disturbed recently. Asking around town, we're told about his long and sorrowful tale. A man leading a noble life that was only met with tragedy. He hands us a book telling us more and sends us off towards Commander Ebenlock as we could help her out. As we read on, we find that Morgan Lattimore fought beside Uther to combat the orcs and undead in the north. He'd witnessed many horrific events, and through it all, the only thing keeping him together was the thought of returning home to his family. Though, when he'd returned, he saw his home was destroyed and Duskwood was unrecognizable. He looked desperately for his family and was told to look at the gravestones of Ravenhill Cemetery. There, he found his wife's grave and lost it, killing 3 nearby attendants and then himself. Days later, his grave was disturbed and his body nowhere to be found. From then on, he's continued as Morladim, consumed by the loss of his family and his own self-hatred. He now roams the cemetery with a mindless vengeance, killing indiscriminately. So now we have a nice list of undead that need killing, and we're also in a position to kill all of them except for one. So it's time to go finally visit Bishop Farthing in Stormwind. To deal with Morbent Fell's barrier, we're going to need a weapon made from Lightforge iron. Years ago, Coltyrus' Third Fleet was sunk along the coast of Wetlands, and one boat in particular was carrying this specific iron. The ship in question was an elven ship seeking shelter from the dragons only to be destroyed by the very same dragons they'd sought protection from. We find its wreckage just south of Menethil, along with a broken chest that contains some of this iron. The Murlocs have since stolen the rest of it. After committing several war crimes against these Murlocs, we return to Stormwind with this Lightforge iron in hand. There, we seek out Grimmond Elmore to craft this weapon for us. A weapon to surpass Metal Gear. Grimmond's honored to work on this weapon for us and gets right to work, handing us exactly what we need to destroy Morbent Fell. Now, with everything lined up so nicely, we finally get back to the last of the Worgen. Normally, one would probably just finish this quest at the mine just south of Darkshire, but there was currently someone else there, so I decided to just find somewhere else. Thankfully, there's this nice little area just outside of there that also has these lads. This doesn't look sketchy at all. We just gotta be really careful about how we pull things, and we'll be fine. It'll be right. It'll be good. Probably. We clear our way to the back of the cave and begin mining everything out. This was actually a lot easier than I thought it would be. Why are they all back? I just like to point out that only just 20 seconds before this, you could clearly see there was nothing outside. Hell, even these 2 sections were just 5 seconds apart. God, what do we do? Our stone's on cooldown, there's no way we can just run it. Sure, we can shield, but that only lasts for so long, and then we'll just get dazed and die while still trying to run. Our only option is to fight our way out. We've got this. I know we can do it. We've taken on 2 at a time before, so surely 3 won't be too different. See? Easy. Not even close. God. Let's just get the hell out of here, man. I'm never coming back to this cave. With everything in place, now it's time to finally start our undead sweep. We'll start with Stalvin, getting revenge on him for bullying us before. Stalvin may hit like a truck, but unfortunately for him, so do we. We strike the crazed madman down, and immediately, Ava feels this wave of hope rippling throughout the land, as Duskwood has officially been freed from his evil. While we were able to take Stalvin on by ourselves, the others won't exactly be so easy. So we're brought into another group who's also finishing out the last of the elite undead within the zone. We start with Morladim, who is actually a bit underwhelming. Though that's mostly just on account of our group was still collecting one spot, and some of them had already started the fight. They'd nearly killed him already, so we all just merely ran over to tap him to ensure we got credit or something. Man, I don't know if that's how this actually works. I swear I helped a whole bunch with my 65 points of damage. I swear. But next up was your boy Morbent Fell, who's hiding out in the upstairs to this house. After a fun bit of breaking and entering, we find him upstairs and... my god, he just looks like some guy. I mean, I don't really know what I was expecting here, but he really just looks like some dude in a funny hat. I also went into this completely expecting that I'd have to play the healer for this fight, but I don't think I even had to heal anybody once. We're just plowing through this shit, man. Last on our list is the embalmer's wife, Eliza. And I'm pretty sure that under normal circumstances she'd have these guards that come up and help her, but I think we killed her so quickly that they just didn't even have a chance to spawn. So, cool. We return to Sven and tell him that Morbent Fell is no more. Though the Dark Riders were still at large, we'd still struck a blow to them. And also, we have a helmet now! I don't know why I sound happy about that, I already miss our hair, man. We then go back to inform Commander Ebenlock that Morladim has been dealt with as well, and we're pointed to none other than his daughter. He thought that his entire family had perished, and yet Sarah Lattimore had survived and was now part of the Night Watch. She gives us a ring to go place upon his grave, her way of telling him that she's alright. As we lay it down upon the grave, Morgan's relieved that she's still alive and leaves us with his sword. He's no longer worthy to hold it, but in our hands it can still do the world some good. Finally, we bring the embalmer's heart to the mayor. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do with it, but you do you, man. As we're coming to nearly close Duskwood out, there's still one thing that we've got left to find. There's this zone-wide drop called an old history book that can drop from nearly anything, though the drop rate is rather abysmal. At this point, we'd still had yet to see it, so it was time to commit some more war crimes. They don't call it the Geneva Suggestions for nothing. Over the next hour, I pulled circles around the Ogre Pit, and then the Defias at the local farm, and then finally the Worgen south of Darkshire. As the hour pulled to a close, I was ready to call it a night and try again tomorrow, but then we see it. Finally, we find our book. While it's old and worn, it seems to be called The History of Stormwind, with the official library's stamp upon it. So of course, we've got to return it to the library. Although it's in bad shape, they believe that it can be restored. In returning this though, we're also told that there's countless other books within the ruins of Alterac, up near Lordaeron. He'd like us to seek out Loremaster Dibs within Southshore, as he could point us in the right direction towards these books. And on that, I guess we're finished with breaking news from the Stormwind Stockades! There's been an uprising and inmates are running rampant! Who could possibly save us from this catastrophe? Oh, you thought we were done here? Nah, we've got a prison riot to put down, my guy. After we defeated Van Cleef in the Dead Mines and returned the letter to the current architect of Stormwind, we were told to speak to Basil Thread, or Basil? Fuck if I know, dude. However, the guard standing watch outside doesn't trust us, so either we come out with Basil's head, or we just don't come out at all. Aside from this, various citizens from all over the kingdom are demanding justice from various prisoners inside. There's an orc being held within the stockades named Targor, who'd served under Gathilzog back in Redridge as his supreme executioner. There's also a man named Dextrian Ward who had been in prison for selling corpses to the necromancer Morbant Fell. I've got bad news for you regarding him, my guy. And there's technically one more. Though it was from a quest chain in the wetlands, and I think I'm just gonna, I don't know, save that for a gnome character or something. Systematically, we enter cell after cell, dispatching all the defiance we see. As we were told by the guard outside, the punishment for this uprising was death. Lucky for you, that's what we specialize in. Is that bad for a paladin to be good at? Like, I don't know, shouldn't we be good at, like, saving people instead of... Whatever, man, hammer go smash. Eventually, we find Basil himself, and have a nice little, talk with him. And soon after, the entire stockades had been obliterated. Nobody was left standing. So what do you mean I still have a convict left? How does that even happen? Over the next couple days, I tried to go in on my own just to see if I could nab this one guy at the entrance, and had a nice little scare one of the times as I was leaving. But eventually, we were lucky enough to find that final convict. You'll love to see it. With the Defias uprising quelled, we soon learned that Basil had a regular visitor while he was imprisoned, supposedly named Malik, or I don't know, man, fuck. Barros hasn't a clue about who that could be, so he sends us to Defias Shaw, leader of the SI-7, Stormwind's intelligence agency. Rogues, man. Shaw recognizes the description, but says that their name isn't Malik, but Marzon, though even that might not be his real name. Marzon's been employed by Lord Gregor Lescovar, a lord with a shady reputation. Troubled that this noble could have ties to the Defias, Shaw sends us to a friend of his, Elling Trius. The Defias Brotherhood, you say? Well, you're certainly the bearer of wonderful news, aren't you? Next you're gonna tell me that Deathwing is still alive and attacking the city. I've got bad news for you in about 3 expansions, my guy. Trius has a way of dealing with this problem, but it's a bit less than legal. Within Stormwind Keep, there's this gnome named Tyrion that's been looking into Lescovar now for several weeks. He'll be able to help us with these less than legal activities. We find Tyrion in the garden, next to his little friend-shaped stealth bot. I love them. All he needs is some silk and apples to complete his stealth bot's disguise, and we are in business. After grabbing some apples from outside, we run back to... What the hell is going on up there? My god, what the... Anyways, we hand this over to Tyrion, and he tells us that he's been following Lescovar for a while now, but hadn't quite realized that he'd been having dealings with the Defias. Stealthbot then walks in our disguise and brings out Lescovar. As he's meeting discreetly with Marzon, we jump in and attack them both. We're really just out here casually killing a noble in the middle of the castle. With the two less than legally killed, we bring Shaw the news of their unfortunate passing. While we were gone, Barros had also wanted to speak with us again, though Shaw made it absolutely clear that we were to leave out the bit about us being the ones that had killed Lescovar personally. Barros is noticeably relieved that the problem's been dealt with, as we'd saved him and likely many others from Van Cleef's revenge. He puts together a report for the king and sends us off to deliver it personally. However, it would seem that the king's currently off on a diplomatic mission to Theramore, so Lady Katrana Prestor accepts it in his stead, giving us a very nice ring in return. So while we're out killing nobles, Zerth of the Blackclaw is rather unhappy with this Lord Wishak, who's currently looking into their quote-unquote establishment. He'd like to keep him quote-unquote preoccupied, and gives us a small list of ingredients to grab. A tear of Taloa from Duskwood. I really don't like the lore of that. And a musquash root from the wetlands. He then whips these two together into his latest creation, this Black Claw Stout for Lord Wishak. We bring this totally safe to drink concoction over to the Lord, and unsurprisingly, he dies on the spot. Wow, I never would have seen that coming. Around this time, we find Thomas, the altar boy, who's looking for adventurers to help Bishop DeLavy with a delicate matter. The bishop tells us right from the start that word of this is not to leave the room, that this isn't to become a public matter. Recently, a diplomat was sent to Theramore to meet with Jaina Proudmoore, but that diplomat had never arrived. This diplomat's disappearance had evaded the public eye up until now, but that likely would not stay around for very long. Delavy is sure that the Defias have a hand in it somehow and sends us off to an old friend of his, Jorgen. You know, the big buff guy from Fairly Odd Parents? Yeah, that guy. In this letter, Delavy seems incredibly worried about this, stating that he would have never foreseen the Defias acting like this and getting this close to home. Upon reading this letter, Jorgen makes it clear that we already know way too much, and that he's only helping because he's obligated to. It's not like I want to help you guys or anything. Just like Shaw, he too sends us straight to Elling Trius. Man, this guy's really got some connections, damn. As the Master of Cheese is updated on the situation, he begins reaching out to his contacts, but assures us that we've personally got most of the legwork here. Down in Duskwood, we're to search for Watcher Bacchus and ask about Defias activity in the area. He should be able to get us whatever information we need. It doesn't take us long to find him patrolling the roads north of Darkshire, and he points us in the direction of Adelstead. There'd been some recent activity around there, and from what we're told, that'd be the best place to start. We fight our way into the house, and there we find and open a small chest containing a Defias docket. It mentions how their first plans had failed, though their second was already in action. Though they weren't able to capture their target in Stormwind, they'd likely be able to get them in Menethil, as their man was already in position. Expect the attack to happen a few miles from their destination. That's where our allies will be laid in waiting. I'm not sure why we've been forced to form an alliance with these creatures, but I can't help but feel we're being coerced ourselves. Huh? The Defias are straight up allied with creatures now? Whatever that means. The document is shown to Brachus, who then sends us directly back to Trius. He feels as though we shouldn't even be looking at the document, that whatever's inside is bigger than us and maybe even bigger than Elling himself. Within the papers, an individual named Fist is mentioned, and Elling is sure that this refers to Dashel Stonefist over in the Old Town. We're to approach him about this, but to expect a fight, as if he's in as deep as it sounds, he's likely not going to give up this information willingly. After a nice little 3-on-1 beatdown, Dashel calls off his thugs, saying he'll tell us anything we wish to know. However, we don't take kindly to getting jumped in an alley. Dashel then spills that he might know something about what's happening at Adelstead, as it happened a few weeks back. He personally didn't have much part in it after Plan A failed, due to some adventurers. However, the guy they'd gotten in Menethil goes by Slim, though that's all he knows about their backup plan. Updating Trius on this, he sends us off to Menethil to meet with a retired contact of his, Mikhail. Just as we're speaking with him, Mikhail spies somebody sneakily trying to leave the establishment behind us. We chase the man outside and get jumped by him and another friend of his. Even though it's a 2-on-1, we're still able to overpower him, and he too gives up. We speak to him again, and a bit more calmly inside. Not willing to die for their cause, he tells us everything he knows, starting with how they took the king. Wait, the king?